In a world where hockey as you know it has disappeared off the face of the earth, undercut by collective dawdling and lack of compromise, a glorious sport, an entire season lost to time. In that year, 2005, all over the world, small-time leagues tried to cash in on the viewership vacuum. So many eyeballs just waiting to watch their leagues. One league got it right, the LOHL. A small-time league founded in 1990 with greater team bankruptcy rates than a Los Angeles startup, they gave the world a show. Their strategy was this. Every franchise was forced to relocate to a town or municipality that had a silly name. So people would say, no way is a team from a place called San Luis do Jaja. I've gotta read more into this. 12 teams. Each with players not particularly good, but decent enough for NHL-starved mooks to get their hockey fix. And in their 2005 playoffs, there was one series whose infamy would last a lifetime. But first, we gotta talk about that logo. Yeah, it's got hidden text, and that's cool and all, but it's a net. Not that cool. Even the Plains alternate is cooler than the Benchminors main one, and the Benchminors didn't even have an alt. Anyway, the Little Canada Benchminors 3 are a grade A head case. Think of them like the 2010s Capitals or the late 90s Blues, destined for great things but could never get it done. They've been in contention for 5 or 6 years, which is pretty long in a 12-team league, but they never even made the finals. Nobody really took them seriously on a large scale anymore. They entered the league in 1993 when the Goobies '84 Oilers caved. For the 1995-96 season, they renamed themselves the Benchminors 2, as their team was otherwise completely nondescript. After a year that put them back on the map in 1990-2000, for the 0001 season, they renamed themselves the Benchminors 3. Unfortunately, the guy who designed their logos founded a successful doorknob selling enterprise, so he only really had time to make a very, very simple logo. And that's what this is. Anyway, if you saw the Benchminors on paper, you'd say they were a solid team. They were known for playing a complete team game. Their scorers scored, their grinders ground, their roll guys roll guide, and their goaltender stopped shots. The funny thing is, despite the perfect makeup of their team and despite being a known contender for years, you might have noticed they are the 8th seed. That's because they lost so many man games to injury. More on that later. So many, in fact, that Coach Kevin Dahl asked the league to open an official investigation to find out whether or not they had been cursed, bewitched, or otherwise hexed by an unknown party. It would come out in 2014 that that was indeed the case, but that's another story. They were consistent enough in the latter third of the season to just barely squeak into the playoffs. They actually matched the 9th place Cavaliers with 78 points, but had 24 wins, so they made it. And now that they were in the big dance, the league was put on notice. The top line looked like so. On left wing was Matthias Hotchkiss, in the days before he was really known as the goal-scoring god that he is now. Everyone calls him Diesel, and rumor has it that it's because of some reason other than he drinks diesel, which is disappointing. At center was Captain Skipper Doubloon, who's basically just Patrice Bergeron. He does absolutely everything right with no holes in his game. All that skill on the top line meant it needed protection. At right wing was the feared enforcer, the immortal, Darius Clock. Standing 6'9" and over 220 pounds, he was the enforcer of the LOHL. There really was no other pure fighter, aside from Cleghorn's duck beef beater. Now, because of defensive injuries, which I mentioned before and will mention again later, old-school defenseman Jin Whitney would be eating the minutes for LCB3. I forget the exact number, but it had been something like 300 games since Jin Whitney even took a shot on net. He played that conservatively. Legend has it that he doesn't truly believe there's a net at the other end of the ice, obviously because he's never seen one. But if we play well enough and are a good sport enough, when we pass on, we'll all see the great opposing team's net in the sky. Arthur Fischel was the goaltender, affectionately known as Artie. The jury is still out on whether or not he is an actual android. His economy of movement is second to none, even the Dan Brisket. But like any machine, or man, whichever, there are glitches and inconsistencies. On the whole, though, one of the more solid options in the LOHL. The second line of Dan Ortzog, Barabbas Toot, and Tiberius Fellow was as effective a second line as there ever was, and you could rely on the bottom six managing the game without fail. But as impressive as their lineup is, remember, they hadn't seen the third round in their history, despite all their regular season success. Having barely made it to the postseason, it seemed like they were given a mulligan to shake the title of laughingstock off themselves and win it all. But if they were going to do it, they'd have to go through the 1 seed. And unlike the Benchminors 3, who were good because they had a complete team, the Flying Plains were dripping with talent all up and down the lineup. The Goofy Ridge Flying Plains had been around since the LOHL's first season in 89-90, along with the Blades, the Jokers, the Cavaliers, the Wonder Women, the What, and Head Smashed In Buffalo Jump. Now, despite 4 of those teams being in the middle of absolute nowhere, Goofy Ridge was the LOHL team most in danger of relocation. See, the thing is, no one in Goofy Ridge really cared about hockey. As the southernmost team in the league, it didn't have quite the draw the teams around the border did. That's not to say they weren't good or uninteresting, but nothing electric enough to draw an already hard sell of a crowd. In a poll amongst the populace to name their new mascot in 1995, the most voted name I can't say, but it was a reference to a body part. The second most voted name I can't say either, because it was a reference to the Plains owner's mother. The third most voted name I can't say because it references the Plains owner's mother's body parts. And the fourth most voted name was Planey McPlainface. But Planey McPlainface and co. did draw fans. They held mudslide events and settin' around sessions. They even tried a few Bojanglin weekend trips. Probably the most famous team awareness building event was ATV horsing around until one of us has an accident. The fan base in Goofy Ridge was growing, and in 2005 it was the most dedicated, or the least uninterested, it had ever been, especially with the lockout. Only problem, you can't rely on another lockout. The owners, in a rare display of competency, thought about moving to a more profitable town with a silly name. Goofy Ridge's captain had a wonderful speech at the beginning of the season when asked by reporters how he felt about relocation. He took it upon himself and the team to give the fans something to cheer for. It was obvious that his primary concern was the happiness of the fans. Goofy Ridge needed something to draw the crowd in stat, and they put together the greatest season in their history. Combined with 2 great offseason acquisitions and the coming of age of a few prospects, everything went right for them this season, even stuff they couldn't control. With 10 games left in it, they sat at second, but Head Smashed In Buffalo Jump completely crapped the bed, gifting them first place. Granted, no matchup against the early 2000s Benchminors 3 is going to be easy, but to be the best, you have to beat the best. And by golly did the Flying Plains have the best. They had 2 of the top 3 or 4 forwards in the whole league in sniper Crudders Mahogie, who became the 3rd player to ever eclipse 100 points, and power forward freak athlete captain Filmbert Milkenfridge. At 25 and 28, this wasn't their first year of dominance in the league, but it was their best. Never again in their careers would they combine for both such statistical and visual dominance on the ice. And it's not like they carried the team either. Second-line center Gene Pulio was almost a point-per-game player, and if he had gotten 54 points in 54 games, he would have been the 5th player on Goofy Ridge to do so. The Plains also had 4 or 5 of the best dozen or so defensemen in the league. Honestly, I could put any of them here. Will Tenby, the mother of all defensive defensemen, Shadler Yesko, the stepmother of all two-way defensemen, the massive Slicer Wiseman and his Al McInnes slapshot. But I'll settle, for starters, with Swan Janssen, a freak of nature who was hyped up as Skipper Doubloon's opposite. He did everything well, but on defense. He doesn't really get the press he deserves on a 2005 Plains team because of his core mate, a 19-year-old wunderkind, Pekka Pakalin-Vara. Another complete defenseman, he only played 20 games this season, getting 4 assists due to an off-season knee ACL tear. Knowing how great of a career he would have, it's funny to think that at the time, people were worried that he'd be an injury-plagued bust. Those are only 5, but my god, on paper, the 2005 Flying Plains were one of the most skilled LOHL teams ever assembled. Maybe the most. Their offensive average was 4 goals a game. The only thing even close to a question mark for their team was goaltending, because netminder Georg Ullmann didn't really like hockey. Yeah, that will definitely be relevant later on. Because of their tenuous situation in Goofy Ridge and their high ceiling, the Flying Plains were under just as much pressure as the Benchminors 3. But there can only be one winner. And the behemoth nature of both teams really excited the, 3 or 4 people at the LOHL offices. So they were going to milk every last dollar, second of airtime, and viewership minute out of this series. knowing that hockey fans around the world needed a fix. And by God, the LOHL would blow itself up to supply it. So just before Game 1, it was decided that instead of only limiting these fantastic teams to a best-of-7 series, now the series would be a best-of-8. Yeah, apparently they did not realize the paradoxes this invited, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. When asked whether or not he would be fighting in such a do-or-die atmosphere, the notoriously outspoken Darius Clock replied with, "I got them rainforest temazepams, 'cause I'm out here in the jungle putting fools to sleep." I guess that means he would be fighting? Maybe. So, let's see how this goes, shall we? The series would open in Goofy Ridge's entertainment complex lower rink, heralded in by a few familiar voices.
We're whalers on the moon.
We carry a harpoon, but there ain't no whales, so we'll tell tall tales and we'll sing our whaling tune.
God, I'm so bored.
I'm Gary Throne, along with Bill Clemente, coming to you live from Goofy Ridge, ready to bring you a heavyweight first-round matchup between the Flying Planes and the Benchminors 3.
Gary, are you an AI-generated voice?
Can an AI-generated voice do this?
Goofy Ridge came out of the gates ready to rumble.
Saved by Fischl to the crease, Mahoney! Fischl just got a blocker on that backhander. Mercy, what an opening chance.
Dwayne Corey beat Georges Laperriere across the ice after the whistle for offsides, but the Benchminors would draw first blood.
Sends it up now to Toot. Toot! Ortzog closing on Jesko. Arister. He scores! Dan Ortzog! He just tried to scoop the referee. Did you see that, Bill?
I did, Gare, but that was obviously a platonic homoerotic gesture.
There comes a time in every fan base's life cycle where they're just becoming aware of hockey and thus don't really understand bad things enough to let them get them down. So the Goofy Ridge crowd remained as loud as ever, willing the Planes to a goal.
Still can't get it out. Julio there, content to wear down the defense. Whitney's on him. The barrier tried to clear it, bounces to the middle. Score! Jeffy Bomber was there. It's tied.
Tough bounces happen to every team, but the last things the Benchminors needed to be staring down were bad bounces and the Planes' unrelenting skill.
Great puck movement here. Jesko through Mahoney. Stutters a blast. He scores! Sheila Jesko with a bomb. That fool Fischl. It's 2-1. Callis takes it, and that's it for 1. My God, we're supposed to call at least 11 more periods of this crap.
After the intermission, it was only Artie Fischl's heroics in net that kept the Benchminors in the game in the middle frame.
By Filbert, Milken Frage. Look at the also by Opus Taylor. First to the puck, comes around in front, and no shot. Apparently, he was lobotomized mid-deke. The zone, then Ortzog, big drive, saved by Olin. And Toot snows him and crashes into him. But, I guess none of his teammates or the referees or hundreds of spectators saw it. That guy looks like he doesn't even know what play that he's on. Face off one back to Callis. Shot. No!
Oh, no!
Oh, the groin! Dear God! The groin of Fast Lewis is ruined! No!
Care.
Pass up to Clock. Loses it. Is this really the guy they play on the first line? Toe drag blocked by Callis. Bounces right to the front. Knocked away! Whose corpse is that? What is happening? I do not understand! Diesel, teach me something more familiar, please. He scores! Thank you! Look, LOHL, was that so hard?
Diesel Hotchkiss' first of the series was a taste of things to come. Mainly his Oswald-esque shooting ability.
Now the Benchminors lugging it up. Clock up. Tenby wants nothing to do with that. Clock Dangles fires! And on that depressing note, the period will end. Actually, it looks like Goofy Ridge wants one more. He's got to get one off here. Blast! Saved by Fischl at the horn.
A tie game heading into the third was proving to the world that this series was the prime billing of the LOHL postseason, and they didn't disappoint.
Blunt instrument category.
Corey wide, a quick shot off the crossbar. Dwayne Corey had Artie Fischl beat. Another shot blocked down in front. The barrier holds off Milken Fridge. No, gave it up to him center. Mahoney missed wide left. Fischl may have gotten a hair on the blocker. Cuts up the boards, now behind 10 meters to the crease. Ullman stands up to Boone. Staggered up to the hash marks. What a hit by Darius Clock on Prada's Mahoney. The Planes still can't get it out. They are dragging. Fed back down to Bebco. Hold by some time. Give it up right off the middle. Rosa. Score! Quiet Rosa off a third-degree boot boo-boo from Stonewall Webco.
Well, that howler aside, it was really good hockey. But what's a game without a goat to wear the horns? The trailing Plains kicked it into gear.
3-on-2 developing for Goofy Ridge. They need one to tie. Dandelario across, and it's broken up by the defense. The Moon lets Fischl cover it. What is that?
What was that?
I don't know.
Then it was Ullman's turn to keep the Plains alive.
Senator Ballet, no dice. Crenshaw there. Slams out deflected. Oh my gosh! Rosa almost had his second on a deflection, but Ullman's pad was there. Ballet having some trouble behind the net. Still fighting. Can't get a hold to the crease. Forates is fired it wide. 2 minutes to go. The hoagie back to Janssen. Winds and fires. Just missed wide.
Despite 8 shots in the final minutes, the Plains stared down one last offensive zone faceoff with 6 seconds remaining.
Julio on the draw, opposite 2. Taylor, Balmer, Cole up front. 10B and Janssen in back. Gotta get a shot here. One back to Janssen. A drive. Score! Swan Janssen!
In one calamitous play, everything went wrong for the Benchminors. It was the worst possible outcome.
What are our 4 keys for overtime, Bill?
They got to stay out of the box and be more aggressive.
Did you just roll generic answer dice?
No.
I mean, at least use the playoff one.
They have to get to the dirty areas.
That's more like it. Tied up, one by the Blue. Perrier fires right into the glove of Olin. Up ice. Into the zone. LaPerriere loses him. Stops up. Now a wrister. Blocked away by Fischl.
Letting the other team attack them up the middle. We call that the bronchitis tactic, especially if they choke the game away.
Now the Benchminors roar into their zone. It's Fellow. He's got 2 in front. Pass deflected to the goal. Scores! 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 Barabbas 2. Little Canada wins!
Karma's a dog, and bad luck came around for the Plains this time, as a bouncing puck hopped right over Ullman's stick and onto Barabbas' toots, gifting him an open goal. The opportunistic media asked Darius Clock how he felt about the win after the game. He replied that it was what he expected. Second order of business after stepping to me is funeral planning. Stonewall Bebco was the 6D, and he's not a bad player by any means, but Slicer Wiseman coming back in for Game 2 meant that the 7D, QB Bowman, would slot out, and Bebco would get more sheltered minutes. Fun story about Slicer Wiseman, he is a massive guy with a massive shot and a massive temper. I found this artist's rendition of him, and it's not that far off. Even funnier, he was on a 1-year contract with the Plains after leaving the Michiganders the prior year. Highly sought after, the Plains just dumped money on him when they did not need another defenseman, just to spite the Benchminors, who did, because one of their top 4 defensemen, Lage Tucking, tore both of his ACLs and MCLs in a bizarre gardening accident, and doctors wouldn't let him play for another year. But trying to do so anyway, he tried to make the team halfway through the year under the pseudonym Beaver Turnbucket, getting the blessing from his inside man, Marcus Malmavara, the team's top D-man. But in his first practice, in which he was awful, he accidentally tore Malmavara's ACLs and MCLs. So for most of the year and in these playoffs, the Benchminors only had 4 of their usual top 6D. They're the man games lost to injury I was talking about. And that's the story of how the Flying Plains spoiled themselves with Slicer Wiseman when another team really, really needed his services. Some say that was the first shot in this rivalry. Barabbas Toot and the second line absolutely shone in a game that was otherwise pretty low event. But despite being up 1-0 in the series, remember they had a well-earned reputation of choking. So weirdly, the further ahead they got in the series, the more people expected them to lose. For the Flying Plains, every loss brought them closer and closer to relocation, which would be especially bitter now that people had actually started coming to their games. So the series was in this really miserable place after Game 1, where everybody thought their team was going to lose. Despite playing perhaps more minutes than he should due to the Malmavara and Tucking injuries, Augustus Group, for one, played way beyond expectations.
Group there with him to the corner. Big hit by Group, puts Balmer on his wallet, and then he calmly skates away like the cold motherfucker he is.
Making the rounds in the public discourse was the noise surrounding Darius Clock, playing on the first line, saying things like this in public, and not fighting or even scoring. People were starting to become very irritated.
It's Clock in front and skid is wide. Why is this guy getting so much ice time? He's a sink. Comes to the glass. Hotchkiss is there to pick it up. Got a lane to the net. No! Masterfully poke checked away, and Quack levels Milk and Fritz behind the play. Why, Darius? Why? Why did you do that? Here's Clock now, skating. Just skating, doing absolutely nothing productive. LePerriere to Whitney. Fumbles it a bit, now winds up a drive. Blocked by, oh, guess who? Darius Clock. Darius Simpleton Clock. What are you doing, Darius? Enforcers should not be playing on the first line.
But that would soon be overshadowed by Georg Ullmann and his irritation with continuously being run into.
Blocked, and it's knocked away by Hotchkiss, and the net goes flying all the way to Tahiti.
Ullmann, you can tell he's really ticked about that one.
Ballmer up ahead, 3-on-4 developing. Boy, that doesn't sound exciting. Ballmer bumps off a barrier shot. He scores! Oh my goodness, Artificial lost his balance and a puck went right by him. Goofy Ridge is up 1-0.
As bad and embarrassing as this goal was, Artificial hadn't seen nothing yet.
Bepko will dump it in and go for a change.
Oh
Fisher loses the
my
net, and score! Tricuspid was there, Fisher was not. It's 2-0 Plains.
Personally, I think mistakes like these rule out the possibility of him being a robot, but some still disagree.
Here they go now, Woodstock waves into the attacking zone. Sees him there, gets it to him, but Two couldn't get his stick on it. Now it's Fellow pumping his legs all the way to the paint. Score! Tiberius Fellow gets one back on a world-class effort.
Right off the next face-off, the second line for Little Canada connected again. 3 goals in less than 3 minutes.
And look at that backhand. As Steve Irwin would say, that's a good backhand.
Sends one down low. Darius Clark on a shot off. Oh my gosh! I don't believe it. Sends it high to Crenshaw drive. Seen all the way by Olin. He'll play it aside.
Oh,
and
no,
Milton Fridge gets
Darius.
knocked down by Darius Clark again, and that's going to be a penalty. I take it all back, Darius. You brought this on yourself. Way ahead now to Taylor. One-on-one with Thistle. Lots of bobbing and weaving, but no selling. Quick shot. Oh! And now he's fallen over. Brilliant.
But the clutch saves Fischl had made in Game 1 weren't made that night.
Corey, he's got a clean break. Forehand. Score! Playing Corey on a break. 3-1.
Augustus Group continued to have a whale of a game.
Group and fire. Group takes it right off the heart, and it comes out. Oh my.
That's the kind of reckless cardiopulmonary self-endangerment that wins
I
championships.
can't honestly say that was a play worthy of triple-digit IQ. But headman up ice to Taylor. One-on-one with speed. Taylor winds up and Fischl gets a piece in the air. And it drops down. Oh my gosh, nobody saw except Augustus Group. They'll send it up now to Darius Clark.
I believe Darius.
Clark with options. He calls a number. A shot off the post. Darius Clark gets closer and closer to doing the impossible. He's had 5 career goals in almost 300 LOHL games, but none would be more important. Cooper Howitzer. Wide rebound. Score! Darius Clark. The prophecy is true!
All of a sudden, after Darius Clock scored his first playoff goal, it seemed like everyone on Earth was cheering for him, but his storyline and Georg Ullmann's would soon intersect with a prejudice.
Right there for Clock, and Ullmann is run again! Boy, he does not look happy about any of that. Clock now across the Thistle, shoots deflected off the bar. But Ofelis, this on the shot deflects off someone in front, and it rang the iron like a bell. Goofy Ridge regroups now, the Hoagie up the wing. Into Milton Fridge tears down LePerriere, and Gray moved to the inside. A shot! Total away by Fischl. 8 minutes to go in the game. Little Canada still in it. Turnover. Corey scores!
I'm not a defenseman, but watching Georges LePerriere's play on this play is so brain-smoothingly bad that I think the rating system wants it banned and expunged from the air. And after that display, the Benchminors just fell apart. No sustained pressure, few clean zone exits. You better believe the choker labels were back.
Left to go. Woodstock busts free. Wrist turn, he scores! Where did that come from?
Despite a glimmer of hope, and despite Darius Clock running Georg Ullmann again, it was too little, too late.
Got a wide open net down the way. Shoot it, dude. Wide. Oh my. Bill, I'm going to have an aneurysm. Taylor has to put it, just put it in, man. It's right there. To score! What are you doing? What is going on?
Fans everywhere groaned. Was another choke job imminent? Some fans gave in to superstitious or just plain off-base urges, petitioning Little Canada to give Nettie, their mascot, a wife, Betty. As if that would be a morale boost to the actual players? I don't know. Despite tying up the series, some bad news would befall the Flying Plains after the game. Georg Ullmann, who had been run maybe a half dozen times in that game, quit. He just quit. Now, you may say, what a softie, but remember, he didn't really like hockey. At all. So, danger of grievous bodily harm was really just the straw that broke the camel's back. As the team flew to Little Canada in Minnesota for Game 3, Georg Ullmann stayed home to pack. He was a good goalie. Not great, but good enough that on the rare occasion the Plains needed someone to steal a game, he could do it. But now that he was gone, what could they do? Use their LOHL backup? The LOHL is already pretty low on the talent ladder. Maybe they could find a catfish. Out of the question. So management pulled some strings, and they signed to a one postseason contract an NHL goalie who had retired professionally. But no more. Fitting with the LOHL credo that the name had to be silly or else no one would bat an eye, they signed the immortal Ron Tugnut. Come hell or high water, he would ride between the pipes for the Plains until the end of 2005. I was actually able to get Mr. Tugnut on a phone call and interview him about this series, though I didn't get much back. It was all stuff like, who are you, how did you get my number, I never played for that team, is this a joke, etc. But he seems like a stand-up guy. On the Benchminors front, Artie Fischl had such a despicable game too that coach Kevin Dahl benched him for backup Hayato Ishihara, a former lacrosse goalie and longtime sumo wrestler. Coming in at a limber 313 pounds, he nonetheless could take up some good space in the net. Darius Clock welcomed Ishihara to the bench the night before puck drop. Allegedly, he told him, Goofy Ridge's goalkeep came out the womb eating Wheaties, but I came from the gods eating planets. Nothing to do with Ishihara at all. But the hype would be short-lived. Goofy Ridge's Dwayne Corey, a top 6 forward who only got a point per game that season because he played on a line with Mahogany and Milkenfridge, fight me, he's not that good, was well aware of the Benchminors' status as chokers, and because one of his 8 minors in college was psychology, he thought he could put it to use. He rounded up a few of his teammates and pulled the greatest psychological trick ever on the Benchminors. They changed their numbers. I guess the idea was that if their numbers changed, the Benchminors would not know who they were and not know how to defend? I don't know. It's dumb. It's really dumb. But that's what a formal education does to you. It makes you think you're smart while someone else runs off with tens of thousands of your dollars. Surely this tactic wouldn't work. Surely not. All of these plot threads would show their relevance early.
Now, who is that? Who is that? What's happening? Who is that player? Oh my God! Back to the point to 56. Swanson, Swan Johnson. What's happening? Who was that player, Bill?
I don't know, Gare. If I was down there on the Benchminors, I don't know how I would still be able to play in the face of such existential uncertainty.
One by the flying planes. Backlund bar to Wiseman. A shot to the net. Uh-oh. Looked like Hayato Ishihara fell down there. Not a good first look for the backup sumo wrestler. Old man Ron Tugnut tapping his pads to make sure he can still feel his legs. They say when you get old, that's the second thing to go. Sensation in your legs. Clock! A quick shot off the face-off, and Tugnut felt that one.
Entities outside of either team's control would affect the course of events.
Got Hotchkiss streaking down the... What? A rogue element! Big hit by Cruthers Mahogany. Back to the point, nobody home. All the way back. Yes, goes on at the rogue element! Rose is there, takes it, shot! Big save by Tugnut. To the circle, a shot. Oh, and he had Ishihara beat. Thistle looking up, giveaway! Ferguson, Candelario! Big stops by Ishihara! Gormanasai Goratendurusama! I take it all back!
You freaking weeb.
Clock's pass, deflects off a skate and comes back. Ferguson to Candelario! All alone, he shoots, save! Ishihara just got enough of it.
At the end of the first period, some bad blood finally started to boil, and tempers began to flare.
Time to get a shot off. The period's gonna expire. He winds up anyway and shoots after the whistle. Up ends the boot. I think it was Milkenfridge. But who is this? Who is that? Some unknown player carries it up the wing. Sends to Mahogany. He scores! Cruthers Mahogany!
Ishihara had been getting better and better as the game went on, but Dwayne Corey, who had changed his number and his name, was too befuddling to the Benchminors D for them to realize Mahogany had snuck back door. It shouldn't have worked, but it did, and it would continue to.
I'd say the Plains are trying the old 1942 identity foxtrot on the Benchminors, completely befuddling them by pretending to be completely different players.
Ortzog flying down the wing undeterred. With Backlund tries to plow through, and he is kamikaze overrun their snickerdoodled by the young Finn defenseman. Bates winds up, Blast to the net, and Ishihara blockers it away. What is that bounce?
It reminds me of the non-Euclidean NHL game in 1971, Gare. God rest their souls.
In any case, both new goalies were earning their keep.
But this will can't control it. It's Taylor all alone now. Lugu's forehand, a shot saved by Ishihara.
And off that momentum, the Little Canada crowd finally got a chance to
Wiseman guarding. Center to Hotchkiss. He scores! Hotchkiss left all alone, and we're tied.
To close the second and into the third, it was all Benchminors.
Tuba versus Field, a shot saved by Tugnup. He does a cartwheel, where's the puck? With about a half minute left on this power play. Hotchkiss takes it up. He's the Red Sea parts. Hotchkiss shoots, saved by Tugnut. Back to Yasko, big blast. No one goes off the back to the leg of Stumpy. I mean, Fast Glorious, but he is kind of stumpy. Milkenford staring down the goalie. He shoots, saved by Ishihara. He was just too big. You cannot shoot around a planet, Phil Milkenford. That I think I have a frame of reference enough that the unknown players on the plains no longer give me brain lesions, so I'm not afraid anymore.
That's awesome, Gare.
Given back to the point, but nobody's home. A foot race. Hotchkiss picks it up. He's in all alone. Double clutch. He shoots. He scores! Diesel Hotchkiss.
The third goal in 3 games for Hotchkiss got LCB3 the lead with under 10 minutes to go. All they and Ishihara had to do was hold the lead.
Thistle's pushed back by the unknown player. God, he's terrified. He beats Thistle down. That's just bullying. The pass, shot, save Ishihara. And the Hoagie is somersaulted to the corner boards. Oh, the humanity. Down low pass, the shot. Oh, checked by Ishihara. Just under 6 to go, tied up by Pulio. One back to Janssen. Big drive. He scores! Now, I want to make it clear that I only think that's Swan Janssen. His number has changed, so it may be a completely different player.
Tied late in the third again, it was every man for himself.
Puck with Loris and Ballet. Puck pushes it to the middle. Loris off the post. Loris had Tugnup moving, but couldn't wrap around his pad. Center to Ballet, just wide. Coming down to the wire now, the Plains over center.
Oh, God.
Hoagie in, cuts to the middle. All day, fires. Ishihara with an incredible save. All reflexes. His gigantic arm of fat and muscle waving through the air with the force and mass of a propeller blade. Pass tipped away as the head of ice. Now the balloon goes for it. Roch Sittenby. And he'll carry it up ice 2-on-1. To Hotchkiss. Back to the balloon. And he fired it over the net. Julio, who's 55? Who is that? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Taylor has it now, backhander. Ishihara waivingly shrugs it to the corner. LeBerrier safely to the half boards. Hotchkiss will skate it out. He's gassed, nothing left in the tank. Pass the 10 blocked by Janssen. They'll start up ice again, 6 seconds to go. Cuts across to the mystery man. Incredible save, scores! He scores! Polio, no! It's waved off. The refs think it was an ice stick.
In one of the more incredible sequences in LOHL playoff history, all of the second line of Opus Taylor, Jeffy Bomber, and Gene Pulio connected for a possible last-second, mid-air baseball goal to give their team the lead.
It's a goal with 3.3 seconds left. Oh, it's Jeffy Bomber. Look at the graphic. It's Jeffy Bomber.
Ishihara was great, but given how changing even just the numbers had messed with the Benchminors 3's heads so absolutely, Coach Kevin Dahl thought it would be a good idea to do it themselves. So they put Artificial back in for Game 4. But for a long time, Hayato Ishihara's pretty good Game 3 against the Flying Plains was the only start a Japanese goaltender ever had in the playoffs in the LOHL. Or, as they call it in Japan,
LOHL.
In the Flying Plains corner, they were confident in the strategy of bamboozling the Benchminors 3. Dwayne Corey was especially proud of himself. As the leading point getter to date and the progenitor of the hoodwinking number scheme, he let it go to his head a bit. He took it a step further, legally changing his name to Rain Dwayne Man. I think this is a pun on Rain Man? Somehow? I don't know. I'm very close to death trying to analyze this league as it is. But hey, if it worked for Game 3, going even further could work in Game 4. When asked what he would do if the Plains continued their renumbering scheme, Darius Clock said, "Nothing. I'm about to put more Genos past the tendy than the entrance to a deli." Heeding the public frustration surrounding Darius Clock, Coach Dahl would drop him to the fourth line, and all the other right wings would move up. This put Tiberius Fellow alongside Skipper Doubloon and Diesel Hotchkiss. That's still a killer trio.
Hotchkiss with the balloon. Shot broken stick. It came right to the balloon and he fired it just wide.
Often overshadowed by a certain future event, Little Canada's defense was masterful in this game. All the way down, Whitney, Thistle, Crenshaw, and Group held the fort, while Perrier and Kalish were solid two-way threats.
Huge stop by Artificial. Shuffled over, held the post like it was magnetized. Hotchkiss steaming ahead now, a big blast. Hotchkiss right there again. Goes his way to the front. He scores! Your blocker can't save you now, Ron!
Rain Dwayneman's plan was starting to fall apart, and Little Canada took it to
That's
them.
what Darius Clark is for. There he is now, look out! Clark destroys Pankel and Barr in the corner.
At the other end of the ice, Milk and Fridge and Mahogie's frustration was growing. They'd barely sniffed the back of the net.
It's Larson Rosa in the corner fighting with... Oh my God, did they change their numbers again? Shot blocked off the scrotum of Taylor. Rosa across the way to Group. Group winds up, shoots, he scores! Deflected in front, fast Loris. 2-0 Little Canada.
Things were coming off the rails for the Plains. But then, they got a little help.
92, which is way too cool of a number for such a dusty player to have. Inside backhander, oh no! It trickles through! Star! Teamer Candelario! A sneaky backhand that somehow got through Fischl.
Man, Artificial's gonna seeing this one in his robot dreams. I'm not sure what's weirder, that he didn't smother the shot, which had the velocity of a whirligig, or that he took almost a full second to reach back and try and cover the puck, which was too late. Odd goal. They should try turning him off and on again.
Tough as that was, Artificial was lights out the rest of the game.
He takes it himself! Fischl goes to the splits. It may have been going, I do not care. That was cool. Plains trail by 1. The Benchminors 3 lead by 1, but have scored 2. But in the series, they've scored 1. If they hold the 2-1 lead, they will have 2. And then they only need 2 more, but if the Plains win, then they'll just need 1, provided that they won 2. Group pounds it off the iron. If only his jawline was in better shape. Ooh, it's not in good shape. It has no shape. Checked off to the blue, one more to Fellow! And he just sent it wide off the relay. Great puck movement from the Benchminors 3, and the net has left its moorings. No doubt floored by what it just saw. Blade still stuck in their own zone, but everyone and their mother goes off for a change. All the way back in the point to 2. Sends it to Crenshaw streaking in. A wrist shot knocked down. On the line, they score! Darius Clark! The bells have tolled for Rod Tugnutt and the Flying Plains. 3-1.
So that's one Gino. But Clock's bluster made it sound like he'd get 6 or something. Soon enough, though, it wouldn't matter.
Way up the ice, controls, avoids Bungley and drops to LaPerriere. LaPerriere waits, he
Clock's
doubles back.
there. Clock took a hit from Astro Bungley, and he is down.
This was a series-defining hit. Nobody knows what really happened. Fourth liner Astro Bungley just checked him after Clock released the puck. Maybe Clock had said some disparaging things about his mother or something, but in any case, he lost his balance and hit the ice hard. Diagnosed with a severe concussion and pathologic chauvinism, Darius Clock would be done for the rest of the series.
The Benchminors need to keep their heads here and close out the last 4 odd minutes of this game. If any offense can overcome 2 goals in the blink of an eye, it's the Flying Plains offense.
Only enough time for a few rushes left. 50 seconds to go. Taylor left side drive. It's high. Dan missed the net. Now here it comes. Tugnutt extra attack run for Goofy reaches Wiseman. Hotchkiss there. Go get it. Bad pass. Bungley. Saved by Fischl. Artificial. The first start of the game for the Benchminors 3 comes up huge again. Hotchkiss plays pitch and catch with them now all the way up to Fellow. What an effort to control. He scores. Tiberius Fellow with the giraffe reach will seal this game. The crowd is on their feet cheering. A game-breaking effort from Artificial on his return to the net has sealed the win for them. With the speed of drive, oh, he scored.
That guy is celebrating way too hard.
Apropos for 2005, now that the game was sealed but at the cost of a teammate's health, the Benchminors got a little nasty.
That's an ugly score.
Oh, Hotchkiss cross-checks Rain Dwayneman down. Maybe that's revenge for his psychological design. Now Dwayneman looks Fischl. They're getting to it now. Comes back to him and he missed the net. Pathetic! And that's the game. I was hoping they'd go Rain Dwayneman or Dwayne Corey or whoever he is into a 30-game suspension for biting, since that would help them out greatly in the series, but no, it wasn't meant to be.
Goofy Ridge outshot Little Canada 29-13. Artificial was the only reason Little Canada won. But unfortunately, nobody was talking about him. Astro Bungley's hit on Darius Clock wasn't dirty, but it was kind of late and ended up seriously injuring him somehow. So Astro Bungley became enemy number 1 in Little Canada. Though the series was shifting back south to Goofy Ridge, a lot of Benchminors fans, passionate as they are, really began to harass Astro Bungley. Though apparently none of them just made fun of his name just being Astro Bungley. I feel like that's a pretty obvious thing to go after. The abuse got so pronounced that the newer but equally excitable fans of the Flying Plains formed a human wall around the Plains rink, armed to the teeth. They swore to protect Astro Bungley and the Flying Plains players from any Little Canada malfeasor who threatened them. The players' hearts were warmed by this display, with Georg Ullman, who hadn't actually left Goofy Ridge yet, agreeing to come back for one more game, just for the crowd, just because of their goodwill. He said, "I am so proud of this community, that they'd be willing to take up M4s and assault rifles to protect us, who they barely know." Swan Janssen would also chime in, saying, "Actually, those aren't M4s, they're Bushmaster XM15s, and technically there's no such thing as an assault rifle." Will Tedenby also went on record as saying, "Swansea, I know for a fact you have never picked up a rifle in your life. It's just important that people stay safe with firearms."
I agree, but that doesn't mean you could just be
I can do whatever I want.
Terminology.
Why are we arguing about this?
Hey,
This is so pointless. You guys are...
Look, if I can
The crowd got to a point where they actually bought tickets back from approaching Benchminors fans for a lot of money, ensuring that the seats were 100% Goofy Ridgers. Infuriated by their machinations, the Benchminors 3 created some machinations of their own. The Benchminors activated the Goonage Wheel to randomize, and thus make it untraceable, what underhanded tactics they would use to win. But it landed on Darius Clock. So they gave Biff Richmond Darius Clock's jersey in the hopes that it would be the same deterrent. And he got 3 minutes of ice time, so spoiler alert, that didn't work. But Darius was very vocal from the hospital about his disdain of being kept out, addressing the Flying Plains directly. "I refuse to leave this establishment until you have gotten your shit milli-rocked and your future torn asunder." Showboating and masculine posturing aside, Darius Clock was a feared enforcer. Now that he wasn't on the ice, and with every last Goofy Ridge fan packing the seats, everything boiled over. But before it got nasty, it got weird.
Shot by Garrett, flag down by Ullman, dropped and he'll cover. Oh! And he gets snowed by Rick McCulloch. Ullman took the entire north face of Evers there. Look at him. The poor man, well, the poor prima donna is not happy. In fact, I'd say he thinks that was downright flagitious. Corey in the hoagie against Kalish and Thistle. Kalish angles him well, forces him outside. A wrist shot, saved by Fischel. Holds that hill. What was that? Artie Fischel just executed a flawless triple geezer silverback Nelson.
The second period is really when this game started to get rolling, and the crowd was ready to pop off.
And Doubloon steamrolls Tenby. Tenby tried to counter hit, but here he comes now. He's pissed. Pouring to Tenby. Score! Will Tenby, the old guard. 1-0, Goofy Ridge leads it.
I tell you, Gare, Will Tenby came down Main Street with a murderous gleam in his eye. Fortunately, he sublimated that murderous intent into a 100-mile-per-hour slap shot. Otherwise, his butt would be in intergalactic penitentiary right about now with Marty McSorley.
Will Tenby, the defensive defenseman, his first playoff goal in 8 years, lit a fire under his mates.
Shifted from Whitney, he comes around in front, off the post. Opus Taylor and Fischel being off the post.
I've said it once and I'll say it again. If you hit the post, it should count as 2 goals.
As time went on, there were more and more cheap shots away from the play, culminating in another goalie run.
Rush. Shot and it's a save by Ullman, and Rosa runs right into him. Georg Ullman is just being pounded in the net by every forechecker. He is got to be at the end of his tether. Peels off, lets his teammates get to the net front. Quick shot there. Oh, it looked like it fouled Ullman, but he got the pad on it.
I tell you what, Gare, I think Ullman is completely checked out. I think he's just going through the motions at this point.
Buckley roaring by everybody. Gilman throw pass is a beauty. Eisenhower off the ass. Again, off the post. And he goes flying into the end wall. Johnson shot is blocked again by Hotchkiss. Little Canada selling out like a mob informant to keep these pucks away from the net. Long pass to Fellow. Fellow almost looks surprised he got it. Interior, Arista, caught by Ullman. And he's run into again by Ortson. Denby's there in Ordog's face.
For now, the Flying Planes would try to retaliate against the Benchminors 3 where it mattered most, on the scoreboard.
Off, getting sick of that move. Soft pass right to the middle. The Hoagie off the post. Just under 1 minute to go. Cheers it in the corner. Big hit by Mahogany. They both go down. Mahogany intercepts. Tries to wrap it around. Blocked off. No shot. Free puck. Slap shot. He scores!
The Flying Planes only got 6 shots in the middle frame, but they had the Benchminors 3 besieged. They were unlucky to only get 2. Maybe they weren't even done.
Period's almost over. Skipper, shoot the puck. Skipper, shoot. Shoot. Shoot the puck. Shoot it. Shoot it. Bill, how do I put somebody else in jail?
But the third period, that's when the nastiness really showed up. Not just brutality, but also sniveling, pettiness.
And we're going to get the whistle now. That will end it. But what is happening? Everyone's going after each other. They're all just kind of lightly shoving each other. Not the lightly shoving. Tricuspid from down low. Ferguson battling Thistle in front. Boy, they're really going at it. And Thistle brutally cross-checks Ferguson down. No shot. Now his turn's blocked. Then Ferguson gets demolished again. Not sure if he got a piece of that puck, but that's a warrior right there in Calamity Ferguson. They've had little sustained offense. Hotchkiss dumps it off to Calsas. Mahogany rides him into the boards. A spectacular hit. Huge. Superstar. Everyone loves that. Playable top cookies. Poked up to Mahogany. Look out! The board and Rosa. Out him on the trolley tracks and send him on a one-way trip to Painville, Anguish Land. Slowly back, Wiseman collects. Plays a backhander. What? Shunted a backhander to the net from almost the blue line. The disrespect.
The audacity.
The disrespect from Slicer. Wiseman, the backhand, a muffin from 50 feet out. Bill, I don't know how much more of this is going to happen before it gets out of hand. 2 through center, offloads to Fellow. Fellow screaming ahead, a runaway train. Around Bepko, a shot. He scores! We're not done yet. The lead is, Tiberius Fellow just punched Georg Ullman in the back of the head.
Tiberius Fellow, the surprising points leader in this series for the Benchminors, cut the lead in half. With 6 minutes left, LCB3 only needed 1. But despite the brutality of the game, one player at least was making his swan song a masterpiece.
Warthog to the circle, has to be on a string, touches side, a shot, saved by Ullman, beats by Dre, bye Birdie. We're making it out of Ontario with this one. Wide open net, come on, get it there, 24 square feet, shot, deflection. Why would you deflect it? Why? Who are you deflecting it around? The Holy Spirit. One last shot here, you would think, for the Benchminors. 12 seconds left and counting. One by the Flying Planes, and Yaltson's going to take it wide. All the space in the world. Got it!
One last little bit of disrespect, Gare. Top shelf slapper from outside the blue line on an empty net. Ouch.
Now, the game is over, for sure. Goofy Ridge won, but they just needed to get the last laugh.
They lead the series 3-2. Oh! Another deep space backhander, this time from Tenby. The Plains say, I see you running my goalie, and I raise you 5 blatant acts of disrespect towards your goalie.
Georg Ullman ended his LOHL career on a high note and left for his native Austria to be a painter. Truly one of the only happy endings for any player in this league. On a more sour note, Darius Clock was infuriated that the Plains tried to start crap as soon as he became unavailable to play. As usual, he had the following to say about the matter. My fists will redefine beauty as your face knows it. Your body will be pulverized into a Picasso. Asymmetry will become your god. Brave words from a man who couldn't eat solid food. Georg Ullman was quite famously interviewed on the tarmac before he left in front of a crowd of Goofy Ridgers. He clapped back at Clock, saying, brave words from a man who can't eat solid food. Clock, upon hearing his retort, replied simply, I will turn you into a burger flipper. It was around this time that another series had just had its 5th game, and it prompted the LOHL commissioner to stop tomfoolery on the ice. So no more name changes, jersey changes, goonage wheels, whatever. To the Plains, that was fine, because they were one win away from moving on, and despite how poorly their superstars had been performing, the Benchminors stars weren't much better off. But the LOHL's edict put a spanner in the works of Biff Richmond, the Benchminors' other enforcer. He had turned to an alternative method of subterfuge, one that he felt was a foolproof plan. Being engaged to an epidemiologist somehow, Richmond was well aware of the effect of sickness on health. He had arranged the purchase of a 120-pound Gloucester Old Spots, which was a known carrier of almost every irritating but non-fatal and non-chronic illness in North America. It was the disease pig. The plan was to smuggle the disease pig into the Flying Plains team livestock gifted from the Goofy Ridgers, and spread the flu or common cold to all of the players. But since Richmond was a good sport and listened to the LOHL, he did not do this. The pig was sold back to a farmer and is now bacon. The end. Game 6 would be televised to a record-breaking audience of almost 400 people. Little Canada, not exactly with the moral high ground, mind you, thought it was a conspiracy to get the Benchminors to choke on national TV. And of course, this one record-breaking broadcast would be the LOHL at its most failurific. Backs against the wall, the Benchminors did everything they could to beat the choker label.
Off the top lead, Hotchkiss deflection, great save by Tugnutt, and the Flying Plains will control. Defenseman change out. That looked like it was offsides, no whistle, the Hokie. Nobody there, looks to Milkenfringe. Milkenfringe is stopped by artificial. Each goaltender with a sparkler early in this one. Tricuspid lovingly swallowed in the corner by LaPerriere. Back to Cole, covering at the point now Wiseman. Wiseman, here it comes. Big shot that just missed wide, and Wiseman can really bring it.
Jesus, no wonder they call him the 50 cal.
His number's not 50, it's 5.
Oh.
Richmond in the corner, he'll pick it up and out. Now it's Nicola Chaplin. This has got to be the slowest rush I've ever seen. McCullough, a shot! It goes over Tugnutt! He covers it into paint, and Richmond runs him. Johnson and 10 be back. Hotchkiss with speed. Gores right through Johnson! He shoots! I can't believe what I just saw. I'm flabbergasted. And the pass comes down low, and no shot. Oh my gosh, this is just a sad display. Are we going to commercial? The official is there again. Ferguson on it again. Beckler, wrist shot. Why are people shooting the puck like it's a wiffle ball? And he just hit his own guy. Great. Smashed him into the dashers. Wiseman shot blocked by Morris. Another shot blocked by Morris again. And Little Canada skates it out.
Fortunately, into the middle frame, the Plains failed even harder than the Benchminors did.
Over the line, shoots, it fiddles to the net again! Oh, look out! Hotchkiss pressured Tugnutt, and he shot it out of the rink. Oh my good lord. The balloon, Hotchkiss, 2, he passes up the arrow shot! Misai over the net. What did I expect? Hotchkiss in front! Misai over the net. What did I expect? Kalish keep it in. Walks in a drive! Ooh, great idea by Kalish. An even better save through traffic by Tugnutt.
But though they played great, they still had just too many jitters.
On this power play, they've had good looks but missed. The balloon to Hotchkiss right to the front. Boy, the NHL really needs to come back, doesn't it? That's going to do it for the power play.
Well, it could be 5-0 by now, Gare, if the Benchminors 3 just sunk any of their chances.
Look out! Big hit on the suicide pass by Candelario. The balloon offensive zone. What is he doing? Yes, skipper, that's the right way. Now shoot! Shoot! No, you simpleton! You quivering mound of damnation! This has got to be the most hideous game of hockey I've ever had the displeasure of calling. Slapper by group. And what was that? Why can't anybody shoot anymore? Have they all signed up for the funny farm? Here comes Opus. I bet he's not even going to shoot. Look. I mean, what was that? Right there. Crenshaw now. Guess what he didn't do? Hit the net. LaPerriere, it's up to him, I guess. Takes it from Pulio to the middle. He scores! Yes! This league isn't worthless.
Ballet's high slot box out on Tenby gave LaPerriere enough room to finally get the Benchminors their first good look. He sunk it, and the arena exploded. Figuratively. But they weren't home free yet.
I told you, this league is worth a watch.
Playing that giveaway then. Kalish up the middle. Saved by Tugnutt. May have been deflected. I'm not saying he missed the net because I may off myself if I admit that were true. All the way back down now. Packlavarin. Ben Frenchman. Look out, Packa. Get rid of it. Oh! Frenchman tattoos Packlavarin into the boards. Rose absolutely hauling it down the near side boards. Looks across the Lors in the middle. Shot off the knob of the stick of Tugnutt.
Third period. Both goaltenders were putting on a show, but the lead was still so slim it may as well have been tied. There was a palpable feeling that the next goal would win.
Milkenfridge blasters Whitney in front of his bench. That's gotta hurt. Fires! Save Tugnut. It bobbled around and Tugnut pitched it out of there to safety. Back to Callis, shot blocked and sings to the corner. Hotchkiss after it. Big hit by Tenby. Send Hotchkiss to a theoretical dimension. Julio now. The Flying Planes need to get something going. Up to Coho. Back to Julio now. In with lots of space. A backhander from Tenby. Off the face of the barrier. Backhander Milkenfridge goes just wide. Wrap around Alma. Who are we kidding? He won't shoot. Lost a shot. Save Fischl. Rebound shot. Julio is denied off the pad. Richmond up the wing. Shadowed by Paco and Vara. Quick shot. Rebound right in front. And Lacola was side up. Couldn't get a shot away. Long lead pass up ahead to Hotchkiss. Tenby watching him. Fellow singles cross with the Boone, losses to the corner. The Boone, Hotchkiss, score! Diesel Hotchkiss, 2-0 Benchminors.
Little Canada erupted with that insurance marker with just 3 minutes to go. Coach Dahl had intentionally put the first line out against Pekka Pakalin-Vara, who had been playing hurt after that hit from Biff Richmond. The scoreless Plains were enraged.
Behind the net, blasters LaPerriere, Milkenfridge spills him again. In front of the white man, save, and LaPerriere destroys him. Comes back to Johnson. Johnson, a big shot wide of the net to seal it and give us all a Game 7. We will see you tomorrow night.
The Flying Plains, understandably, given their skill and pedigree, were not shut out once all season. Now, in a critical Game 6, to move on, they couldn't beat Artie Fischl, mustering only 17 shots, but they were mostly good ones. Forcing a Game 7 was exactly what LOHL brass wanted. After all, the LOHL commissioner, who was vacationing in Cyprus, knew that this series was the most marketable of the four in that first round, and would bring the most viewership. Thus far, through 6 games, it had delivered in spades, making him look very smart. The LOHL was magnanimous before Game 7. Outside of the Goofy Ridge rink, they had a parade, extra catering, special security, and whatever to celebrate. But again, it's the LOHL, so it wasn't a massive increase in spectators. Well, not real spectators. Lots of hobos came by for the catering. Despite the heroics of Game 6, many of the Little Canada fans were still doom and gloom about the prospects of choking, which Little Canada had done almost none of. So, some fans got the idea to increase morale by holding an official wedding for Nettie and Betty, thus making Nettie, and Betty I guess, the first sports mascots to ever be actually wedded. I have no idea how that's supposed to help morale, and neither did one Little Canada denizen who, upon voicing his displeasure, was accosted by Darius Clock, who dared him to complain again, saying, "My fists will write your brain a lullaby. The first notes are CTE." Once again, the Goofy Ridge fandom took over absolutely every seat in the arena for Game 7. It would be deafening and it would be electric. No room for failure, no time for trepidation. Both of these powerhouse, juggernaut teams, each different in their own ways, and very different in very obvious ways, met on the ice in one calamitous game.
It's Game 7, everybody. Enjoy it or die. Hotchkiss takes Mahogany to the boards, tied up. Hotchkiss attacks still. Still no movement. This is whole-time hockey right here, folks. Like the era of football where teams maybe scored once a game, this, too, is the same style of righteous slog that we knew back in the age of typhoid fever and tuberculosis. Plain wins it. It comes to Janssen. He'll control. Give away up the middle. Direct. Long shot. Safe by Tugnut. Rebound. Score! Fast Loris! The Benchminors lit. The roids.
The start of Game 7 was actually fairly pedestrian, but one bad turnover and one bad bounce on the same play gifted Fast Loris the first goal of the game. But for the Flying Plains, all trailing meant was that it was a lead the Benchminors could choke away.
Look at him, full of confidence. Blows by everyone, a wrister. He scores! Jim Whitney, what is happening?
Unless your so-called NHL goalie lets in a softie from a defenseman who did not score all season, Tugnut was definitely the guy wearing the horns now. Not for lack of effort, the Plains were in a massive hole early, but it was still early.
Balmer off the draw box. Wiseman taps it to Taylor. Nobody around. He scores! Opus Taylor gets one back with plenty of time to go.
With Taylor's goal, suddenly the whiffs and bad bounces earlier looked less like glitches in the system and more like nobody could stop pucks getting in the net, which always makes for great viewing. And that theory would be proven correct.
Warthog down into the corner. Packlin Vara stumbled. Warthog with space, and it's the Crenshaw! Score! Integrity Crenshaw is back to a 2-goal lead. The Plains just can't buy a save.
In dire straits, the Plains did their damnedest to get one back before intermission.
Group there loses it to Milkenfridge. Big glove stop by Fischel. Plays it out as Milkenfridge takes a whack from his stomach. No dice. All effort from Milkenfridge. No cigar. Ballet coming in and crushes him. But here comes Balmer up the right side. Boards 2-on-2. Wiseman coming up behind him. Slap shot from right in front of the net, and he missed every nano-angstrom.
The intermission would need to be a time for the Plains to reset and refuel.
Knocked away in front. Oscar shins it to the corner. Shattered by Cronus Mahogany.
And that second period was one of the best that they ever played.
Drops to Julio. Puck down from the barrier. Decken out. Bomber. Taylor. A 360. And that was embarrassing. I don't know how he missed that badly from there. Yikes. Bomber now back to Wiseman. Here it comes. Saved by Fischel. Pump right out of his glove. But a dump truck blocked it. Back on fire. Scores! The kid comes up clutch.
While playing hurt for seemingly the dozenth time in his young career, 19-year-old Pekka Packalin-Vara blasted one through the legs of Grant Rosa and a perfect screen by Jeffy Bomber to draw the Plains within one and the fans to their feet. And as if on cue, the Benchminors got the jitters.
Sends it back to LePerriere. Winds in fight. Oh, uh-oh. LePerriere did a stinky. It's Mahogany coming back with Dwayne Man. Mahogany waits and stops up. Now it's Wiseman. Wiseman observing down low to Julio. Turns and fires. Glove grabbed by Fischel. That would be more understandable. Bo gives up and he is belted down by McCullough. He's a tough son of a gun. I'll give him that. Now it's cleared all the way up. Ferguson on LePerriere. Head fake sells him. He scores! Calamity Ferguson. Old Reliable gets the Flying Plains even.
Now LePerriere was wearing the goat horns for Little Canada. He blew his coverage on Taylor's goal, was on the ice for Packalin-Vara's, whiffed on a shot earlier, and now gets jock-strapped straight into the gulag by a dusty veteran. But fortunately, some members of the Benchminors were good at studying film and learned from others' mistakes.
Here comes Dan Ortzog on Janssen. Ortzog does the same move inside Sapper. He scores! 4-3 Benchminors. Ron Tugnut is a sieve.
It is the ultimate disrespect to punk the team that just punked you by punking them with the same move they punked you with. Remember, in 2005, inside cuts like this were revolutionary. Ron Tugnut finally got his head on straight.
Here, two to slap shot, stopped by Tugnut, and he smothers it. Bill Bloom versus Milkenfridge, one to the back. Callis now a shot, snapped out of the air confidently by the ancient Ron Tugnut. I have no idea what Skipper DeBoon is doing.
For one last push in the second, the Flying Plains brought everything they had down on Artie Fischel.
Resets. Look at Rosa flying in, but Tenby faked him out like it was nothing. Now he'll take that lane all the way up. Where is everyone? 5 seconds left. Stops up. He scores! Will Tenby, have yourself a night end to end.
This goal is to Artie Fischel what Whitney's was to Ron Tugnut. Terrible. And he knew it. I mean, just look at that body language. Tied headed into the third period, playing in front of their home crowd for possibly the final time, considering both elimination and relocation. The Flying Plains just needed to win 20 minutes. The Benchminors blew leads of 2-0, 3-1, and 4-3. If they lost, the choker label would hang over them forever.
Waiting for something to develop. Crosses to the middle. Shot! Blocking away by Tugnut. That's a huge save. LePerriere finally angles and well stuck to the outside. Bomber cuts in the pass across. Taylor shot against the grain. Official is there to deny him again. Precious seconds dwindling. You gotta think the next one's gotta be the winner. Packalin-Vara and DeBloom scrapping for it. Pass to the point. Blocked. He comes to the center. Outside. Huge stop by Ron Tugnut. Biggest stop of the game. Wiseman will just hold it now. A long lead pass to Mahogany. That gets wide. Crenshaw fakes forehand shot. Stopped by Artie Fischel. And Tugnut was on top of it. It's Julio. Julio, no help. A slapper. Cuffed down by Fischel. And we are going to overtime in Game 7. The second such overtime in these playoffs. Don't go away, please, or I will cease to exist. Overtime. Winner take all. Game 7. 1 goal. 1 team. 1 liver. Pancreas. Gallbladder. Just watch the game. The Blue picks it up on the breakout. He is a man on a mission. Blows by the old fight. Hooks around center. Skis. Saved by Tugnut. Maybe a little luck there as it hit him in the toe. Up ahead to Dwayne Man. Defense changes. Tenby and Janssen off. Wiseman and Packlin-Vara on. Corey down low to Milkenfridge. Just shot it wide. Fischl held down the angle beautifully. Dwayne Man all the way back. Packlin-Vara gives everything he had. Scores! 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 Back up Packlin-Vara! The kids are all right. 5-4. Goofy Ridge. They win Game 7.
With his second goal of the game from just inside the blue line, staring down the very soul of goaltender Artie Fischl, Packlin-Vara loosed a shot that could not have been more perfect to win Game 7 for Goofy Ridge. But the series isn't over. Do you remember why? Because of the potential for viewership, the LOHL commissioner extended the series to a best of 8. We still need that Game 8. Goofy Ridge didn't win 4-3. They led 4-3. People didn't know what a Game 8 meant. If Goofy Ridge won, well then they win the series 5-3, easy. But if the Benchminors 3 won, then what? Fears similar to Y2K started to abound, that society would collapse if a series ended in an ungodly 4-4 tie. Thus, Game 8 was played with an apocalyptic ferocity, and apocalyptic signs and wonders began to manifest. Little Canada's mascots Nettie and Betty filed for divorce, the first ever divorce among mascots. The armed Goofy Ridgers traveled to Little Canada to just stand around and look menacing. And finally, the LOHL commissioner himself was reportedly in attendance, unheard of in the LOHL annals. This was going to be a momentous game. Darius Clock, still hospitalized, when asked if he would fight in a Game 8, said, "I am the greatest fighter to ever touch the face of the earth since I've buried so many fools in it." I don't think he even watched the game, but he'll wish he did. I'm going to do something I don't ever do. I'm just going to let the footage speak for itself. Ladies and gentlemen, the final hockey game of the series.
Game 8. My brain, which has already undergone massive physical and chemical trauma during the course of this series, has no frame of reference for a Game 8. Pulio lofts it back to the point. Packlin-Vara shot! Blocked off the ankles by Dan Ortzog. Bobber now in the corner. Controls. Mosey's it to the point. Packlin-Vara again! Deflected by Pulio and a smart-looking save by... No! Tuke gets steamrolled by Bobber. Wiseman carries. Wiseman curls back into the O zone. Down the right dash center. Blows it. Pulio there! Scores! T. Pulio! Goofy Ridge breaks the ice. Proof shot blocked to the corner. Janssen chasing, but Loris flying in, gets the puck off him. Breaks it to right. Saved by Tugnut. It bounces, rebound. Loris save. Tugnut. Dwayne Man on Thistle. 3-on-3 into the zone. Stops in the corner. Back to the high slot. Tenby. Shot. He scores! Another once-in-a-lifetime goal for Will Tenby. Struggle at the half boards. Hotchkiss and a flying plane. Doho gives it up to Kalish. Big blast knocked down in front. Kaboom! Off the knob of the stick of Brad Tugnut. Head up ice. We'll see if they can get something started on this rush before they head off. Fellow all the way down. Got Diesel Hotchkiss in the slot. Huge save by Tugnut. Kalish again. Score! Jarka Kalish beat the ball off the net. 2-1. Plays off for a change. Pulio into the corner. Rising backhander. Fischl nothing. Bobber. Incredible save by Fischl. Taylor scores. The save of the century. It was all for nothing. Fall of sound and fury signifying jet squat.
I have never been so sad after a goal. Artie Fischl deserves for this to not be a goal. In fact, he deserves for it to be an ungoal, because that save was worth the lives of at least 15 Victorian-era orphans.
We are here today, sniff, boo-hoo, to commemorate what was possibly the greatest save in LOHL history. Sniff, boo-hoo. That didn't end up amounting to anything except maybe 1 or 2 decimal places in Artie Fischl's save percentage. All the military-industrial funding in the world couldn't save you from that fate, Artie. You deserve better. You deserve the best. Gillette. Period number 2. Artificial remains in net despite giving up 3 goals. The Flying Plains dominated that first period. Little Canada's got to get something going here. Jim Whitney now faces some congestion or perhaps black lung or whooping cough up the middle. Dumps it in off the keister of his choosing. Back to Group. Time and space. Big blast! He scores! Less than a minute into period 2. Augustus Group with the howitzer. The lead is cut in half. I think this is the hockey equivalent of Schlon swinging. The balloon back to Group. Group sets and fires. He scores! Again! Augustus Group! Less than a minute later, we're tied. Julio down low, avoids Toot deftly. Great skating there. Up to Taylor Lawson as he set his feet. Toot picks it up in a soft area across the onside! Off the post! Crossbar and out! 2-on-1 if he hurries. Dwayne Man on the off wing. Milken Fridge, wrist shot! Scores! Scores! Filled by Milken Fridge! At long last, his first goal of the series! And it gives his team the lead here in Game 8. Loris ties it up, a quick shot from Fellow. Tugnutt they get it in the crease! Score! Fast Loris off the rebound! We're tied at 4!
Tugnutt's yapping at the ref, thinking this might be goalie interference, but I'm a firm believer that interference only takes effect when the goaltender has lost a limb. Anything beneath that, he's got to be able to deal with.
A quick power play goal for Little Canada has tied it up, and this could be a very, very high-scoring game here, Bill. Broke up to Ballet. Right side entrance, inside shot block, 2 there, he scores! Barabbas 2 in the blink of an eye! The Benchminors finally have the lead! I'm not even going to let you talk, Bill. This goal is amazing. Off balance, backhand snipe all the way from Bosnia, and he gets blown up after Rugge at top cookies. And absolutely teleports back to his feet, not giving a damn about the laws of physics. Oh, butt is bad. Get out of the way. Battle in VAR, the Game 7 hero slap shot, snapped out of the air by official. Lift every voice and sing, that man is suave. Where's your helmet, fool? The Blue doesn't like what he sees, dumps it off the Fellow in the corner. Battle in VAR on him like a bloodhound, still biting him off the puck. Great D there from him, and Fellow has had enough. He beats down the kid and picks up the puck. Lahogie down the left wing side. Crenshaw shadows. Lahogie cuts to the interior. Big block from LaPerriere. The D-man who can't play defense comes up with a massive block there. Third period, Game 8. One last regulation frame to decide something. I don't know because it's Game 8 and that makes no sense. Flying Plains a man to the good, looking for the time marker. Back to Wiseman. Wiseman crawls down low to Polito. Big save, post to post by Fischel. He made that one look easy. And I mean, he really made that shot look like it had daddy issues. Lahogie with all the space in the world. Where is the defense? Around Thistle closing. Forehand backhand shot. Fischel got an internal throw. But Fischel squeezes the pads and he'll hold it. Mercy, Artie Fischel is bailing out his team big time early in the third period. It's Hotchkiss along the far side. Right to the paint, sends it in front, and Skipper the Balloon whiffed on it. No goal for the series, and oh! Chipwood stands up Bobber. Across to Hotchkiss. Score! Diesel Hotchkiss, his 6th of the series. Dwayne Man misses it in the corner. Time is short for the Flying Plains. Lahogie around the back, loses both his men. Waits, fires, stopped by Fischel. He came out to challenge the angle. The Blue controls now, send it up. Fellow sprinting down the left side, all the way to send it across. Hotchkiss is robbed by Tugnutt, but it may be too little too late. Lahogie thunders in, Tugnutt comes to the bench. All the way down, low cuts inside, shot! Blocked by LaPerriere again! Yawning Cage at the other end. Tanner to right at center. He sucks, but did he do it? Yes! Richmond carries it in. 5 seconds left and we'll let the crowd take you to zeros.
And that's it. That's all the hockey that was played in the Flying Plains Benchminors series. After all that, after the 8-game gauntlet, the psychological trickery, marrying off the mascot, after the disease pig, there was no winner. It was a draw. But for one man, it was not enough. The LOHL commissioner was ecstatic about the viewership the series got. Almost a full dozen people at peak ratings. So he did what every hockey league commissioner does. He cashed in. To settle the score, to finalize a winner, to end the slog of a series, the LOHL commissioner arranged another event. Given that Little Canada and Goofy Ridge were the only playoff matchup with 2 American teams, the commissioner ensured it was an event with a specifically American appeal. Totally outside the spirit of the game of hockey, but well within the bounds of reason for such a bonkers league. The only difference would be that Gary Throne would be unavailable to do the play-by-play, being arrested for identity theft, and Bill Clemente lost his life savings gambling on the Blades Omnishambles series, so he was reduced to selling his body for bug repellent commercials. The players themselves weren't too happy about having to continue the festivities at all, but when promised that fighting, a true blue part of hockey's identity, would be the vehicle by which the winner would be decided, they agreed. Although the fighting wouldn't take place on a rink. For this uniquely American event, each team selected 2 of their best available fighters for a tag team match in the ring. Benchminors 3 lose, they're labeled as chokers and ridiculed into oblivion. Flying Planes lose, and they'll quite probably lose their team. No pressure. With the regular broadcasting team out, the station rolled with another crew, whose LOHL series had already ended.
Welcome, everyone. I am Doug Rafferty alongside Jerry Kelly. We are proud to bring you the deciding game, technically 9, of the Goofy Ridge Flying Planes and Little Canada Benchminors 3 series.
Biff Richmond was the obvious selection for the Benchminors, with Clock hospitalized. Rick McCulloch was scrappy, but was more of an agitator than a fighter, but he could probably hold his own. The Planes didn't really have any fighters, but they did, firstly, have a freak athlete.
This is Filbert Milkenfridge. Dear God, look at those threads. I'm not sure whether to be impressed or pour bleach into my eyes.
That's awesome! I have one of those garish pimp outfits at home.
And secondly, just a freak.
It's Jeffy Bomber, an absolutely insane, ferocious man, and he may or may not be American. It is a question that remains unanswered to this day.
The team of the last man standing would be awarded the series win. Legitimately, no one knew what would happen.
Milkenfridge squaring off with Richmond. There's the bell, and there they go. Milkenfridge has got Richmond in a headlock. Oh! A DDT right off the bat, and Richmond is on the mat bleeding from the head.
Possibly confusing tap-outs for line changes, McCulloch subbed in for Richmond less than 30 seconds in.
McCulloch fly headbutt. Brain trauma, be damned.
Oh my
Drop
God.
kick. McCulloch got him. DDT. Oh! We may see a pinfall here. Milkenfridge is down. 1, 2. But here comes Bomber. He's hopping into the ring. Oh my God, look at that back hair. Got him on the ropes. Recovered by Bomber, he's free. Oh, a kick below the belt.
Oh, watch out, watch out, watch out.
DDT. And that's it. McCulloch is out. It's just Biff Richmond against Bomber and Milkenfridge now.
Perhaps predictably, the rabid, Neolithic Jeffy Bomber destroyed Rick McCulloch less than a minute after arriving in the ring. Only Richmond stood in his and Filbert Milkenfridge's way. Or so they thought.
I'm getting word there's another challenger coming in. What? For the Benchminors. Yeah, he's got to replace Rick McCulloch.
That's cheating, right?
What is that? It looks like a net. Yeah, see, it's got the little water bottle on top. Oh, it's Nettie!
It's Nettie!
It's
No
the Benchminors
way,
3 net
dude.
mascot! He's come to save Little Canada in their moment of need. Filbert Milkenfridge is soiling himself. He doesn't stand a chance.
Nettie's strutting up to the ring. Look at that guy. Oh, he's got the Yeezys! Look,
Yo,
dude!
no
Nettie's
way.
got the Yeezys!
Fresh off a divorce and definitely letting the self-destructive thoughts win, Nettie himself showed up to keep the Benchminors season alive. And as he was made of iron, he stood a chance.
And here we go.
Is he a stripper?
Oh! Bomber's got Richmond in a headlock. Stop from Milkenfridge. Roundhouse from Bomber. Oh, the humanity.
Oh, no, look
Milkenfridge
out
has got
here.
Nettie. Nosebreaker. Oh! Look out here. Milkenfridge checking Nettie's pocket for loose change. Petty theft or grand larceny. You make the call. Milkenfridge with the belly hoop backdrop. Milkenfridge cleans Nettie's clock out. Headlock. Nettie reverses!
Oh my God!
A flawless Benchminer body drop.
When Nettie finally connected, the crowd went nuts.
Time by Richmond. He's got him here near the end of his tether. A pimp slap by Nettie! Off the post!
But still suffering from a bleeding head wound, Biff Richmond only had so much left in the tank.
And now he's got him on the ropes. Crowd roaring, slams him down. Milkenfridge is just having his way with him.
Confusion during the tag brought Little Canada their doom.
Broke his arm there. Nettie comes in, but he walls on Richmond out. Milkenfridge, DDT! Absolutely slammed Nettie's crossbar into the ground. He gets up and here comes Bomber. What is he doing? And he blasts Biff Richmond out of the ring. Biff Richmond is done. It's all up to Nettie. 7, 8. This could be it for Milkenfridge. 9. Nettie celebrates, but he's up. Oh! A premature celebration. Nettie back up on his post. Gets Milkenfridge. This is it. Hits him with the indentured immolator super drill. And Milkenfridge is out cold. It's down to Nettie and Jeffy Bomber.
But if you thought you'd get a regular 1v1, you ain't seen nothing yet.
The 1v1 here. We're going to get a new ref.
Someone new again? Oh boy, he's got a bag over his head. Who is that? Oh!
What?
No
What?
way!
It can't be!
way!
The LOHL
Who are you?
commissioner!
Take off the mask. You got some explaining to do. Yo!
He has never shown his face in public. I guess technically he still hasn't, but it's him! The mastermind behind the whole operation!
The chess master, the Heisenberg, the absolute bastard finally showed himself, assuming position of referee for the final bout between Nettie and Jeffy Bomber. And for some reason, he was absolutely jacked. No one knew why he wanted to ref, or why he was interfering at all with the series that had already become so convoluted anyway. Here's a theory, though. He was insane.
Here they go! To decide who advances to round 2. Nettie's got Bomber in headlock early. Breaks free overhand! Giant elbow to the face! Can we see a DDT? Oh! Bomber recovering, a gleam in his eye. Drop kick! A drop kick from Olympus! Okay, he tried it again, but that was a bit overkill. Didn't get a hair of Nettie.
What's Nettie
Nettie's
doing?
Searching under the ring. He's looking for something.
Nettie.
Bomber's bewildered now. He goes down to ground level. Wild haymaker. Professor tries again. Misses. Nettie. Oh! As caught us by witness. He has broken it in half. Bomber recovering on the floor. Look, here's Nettie. The steel makeover. The kisser crusher. Folded Bomber like a love letter. Bomber comes after him. Uh-oh, Nettie reverses. Oh!
Holy
the
God,
slingshot
that was
Nettie
amazing.
Supreme.
Stay down, Jiffy.
Nettie's celebrating early again. It was all a ruse. Bomber sprints into
no,
action.
no,
He's got him. Pile driver. Oh! Nettie is screaming in pain. But look at Jeffy Bomber's back hair.
The Little Canada half of the crowd roared ever louder as Jeffy Bomber, for all his biting and groin kicks and disparaging comments, had nothing left in the tank.
Down, gets back up, comes right after Nettie. And he is put to death. Bomber with one last effort. No resistance on Nettie. Nettie arm lock. Twist the wrist. Baptism. The double-decker. Now I lay me. Bomber tries to get up. And he's out. The commissioner will raise the arm.
Oh no.
Oh no. The LOHL commissioner. Him and Nettie are going to go at it.
The LOHL commissioner inexplicably began to fight Nettie. Just because he wanted to fight, I guess.
Nettie gets up and executes. Oh! Perfect. 720
Oh my God,
runaway
that
tire.
was amazing.
But if Nettie was knocked out, the Benchminors were eliminated.
Nettie, by God! A drop kick right to the solar plexus. And now he's just wailing on the commissioner. He's gonna get to the second round if he has to kill someone. What a move by Nettie. And he drags the commissioner to his feet and is just beating the absolute snot out of him.
Oh no, here we go.
Uh-oh.
It was all part of the
The
plan.
commissioner's got an ankle lock. He's at his mercy. DDT! DDT!
Nettie gave the fight everything he had. He even got a few over on the commissioner. But perhaps nobody truly knew the strength of the man beneath the bag.
Come on,
The
come on, come on,
commissioner's
come on,
fighting,
come on,
giving
come on.
everything he has. Reversal! The commissioner to his feet. Oh! Nettie puts him in the corner, but ow! The commissioner just plops him in timeout. Vicious kick right to the gut. And he's choking out Nettie. The commissioner could win it. Oh! Nettie is on his last legs. The commissioner looks like he could go on forever. I don't even know whose side he's on. Have another DDT. What more for good measure? Nettie can't take much more. Oh! A straight right that knocks Nettie on his skirt. This could be the end of the Benchminors season. 2, 3. He's out. The commissioner wins.
What does this mean? What is it? Seriously, what does it mean?
I don't know. I just get the feeling he joined in because he wanted to fight.
Well, again, there's no winner. The commissioner, now that I think about it, possibly wanted to extend this marquee matchup series ad infinitum, milking out every possible view he could get, stretching the event beyond actual hockey. If it ends here, he could do that. If.
Nobody can save little Canada now. What the hell?
What was that? Kind of sounded like the chiming of a...
No! Oh my God!
No way! No way!
It can't be!
No way! Let's go! Let's go!
Let's go! It can't be!
Let's go,
Oh.
Darius! Let's go!
Jerry, that man is not well. Is he still concussed?
Who cares? He's gonna save the
I'm not
Benchminors
sure how I
season!
feel about this, but let's go, Darius!
Oh my God, this is amazing! Let's go, Darius!
Darius Clock can do it. He can save their season.
Kick his butt!
Out of the ICU and into the ring, Darius Clock finally had the chance to put his money where his mouth used to be and save the Benchminors season. Asterisk, he has suffered severe brain damage.
And here they go! Darius Clock and the commissioner!
Oh, Darius!
Oh, Darius.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, no.
No. Oh, dear.
Oh,
Darius.
Oh, man.
Oh.
Darius.
Oh, Darius.
Oh, that's
man.
that's,
That's just a
he
shame.
didn't. No.
crap.
Oh, Darius. Oh, jeez. Well, the commissioner wins. That wasn't much of a fight at all. Wait, what's he doing? He's going for foreign objects! It's a baseball bat!
But he already won!
Oh! He's beating Darius Clock! And he KO'd him again!
And that was it. Goofy Ridge would be advancing. The commissioner was not wrestling on behalf of the Flying Plains, it's just that all of the Benchminors fighters lost, and many made the argument that they should have been eliminated when they lost Game 7 anyway. To settle things, in the official record books, this series goes down as Goofy Ridge Flying Plains win over the Little Canada Benchminors 3, 4-4. KO. It took 8 games, plus a wrestling match, plus the career ending of a goalie, plus the revival of another, plus 2 overtimes, plus biological warfare machinations and psychological designs. But we have a winner. In a series where both teams are so complete and evenly matched, how else could it have gone?